Hello, viewers. Welcome to another episode of MedTalk on IndusTV. My name is Dr. Tushar Patel, and I am your host. Today's talk is with Dr. Richard Honigman, who is a board-certified general pediatrician with over 35 years of experience in private practice. Since 2009, Dr. Honigman has been affiliated with Reach Within, a New York, Grenada-based NGO whose goal is to improve outcomes for children affected by early life adversity, trauma, adverse childhood experiences, and toxic stress in Grenada and Caribbean. Dr. Honigman attended recent Clinton Global Initiative Clinton Action Network meetings to further the interest of childhood mental health, resilience in the face of developmental adversity, and natural disasters. As we all know, childhood trauma can affect structure and function of brain, which affect a person's present and future well-being. It can lead to chronic issues from dissociation of physical conditions, including heart disease and autoimmune disorders. Welcome, Dr. Honigman. So let me start by asking a question, Dr. Honigman. Can you please tell our viewers what is Reach Within and what are the main objectives and mission of your organization, and what got you interested in working with this NGO?
As you stated, is an international New York City and Grenada-based non-governmental organization that works to improve childhood outcomes in Grenada, a small, low to middle income developing nation in the Caribbean. We do this by working with the children and the caregivers in the residential facilities for children that have been removed from their homes due to abuse, maltreatment, neglect. And we've realized that relationships are the most important thing, either in development and or treatment for these children to improve their outcomes. We grow up in terms of our interactions with others and our relationships with others. These teach us when we're little about the world around us. And by improving the relationships, we can improve their physical, mental, and social development. And we have had success in our interventional programs. As to why Grenada, the woman who started the foundation, Dr. Karen Lawson, her husband was the ambassador at large for Grenada from the US. And while he was down in Grenada opening up a park for children, he unfortunately had a fatal heart attack. And Dr. Lawson started the foundation to keep his memory alive in the US and in Grenada, and to help the children that he was trying to help.
So how did you get involved, Dr. Honigman?
Well, it's a funny serendipitous story. My wife and I were on vacation in Grenada, and we were sitting having breakfast at a very lovely resort, La Luna, and we heard these people at the table catty-corner to us having a conversation about infant mental health, residential homes, how to improve outcomes. And being a pediatrician with an interest in early childhood development, I couldn't help but go over and introduce myself. And we started off discussing, and one thing led to another, that we were both from the New York City area, and I was asked to join.
Wonderful. What an inspirational story. So can you tell our viewers what are the concepts of Reach Within and why are they important for Grenada and the US, including infant mental health, early relational health, social determinants of health, developmental origins of health and disease, adverse childhood experiences? The list goes on and on.
Well, when we were there, we encountered many, I would say, stereotypic myths about children. They're born bad, nothing will ever happen to them. And we know that every child is not born bad, but they react to their environments in certain ways that initially may be adaptive to avoid and survive. But these adaptive reactions to a maladaptive environment sometimes become maladaptive in an adaptive environment as they grow older, where their natural responses to avoid threat or danger or pain are basically fight, flight, or freeze. And we've all heard these terms thrown around, but a child who learns from their intimate environment, mainly their parents or relatives or community, that they don't feel safe, will develop a hyperactive fight, flight, or freeze response to things that may not be really threatening or dangerous, because it's the only way that they have learned to survive that long. For instance, if you're always in danger, you're always feeling threatened, and then it's time to go to school, and you're going to react more to sensory cues rather than higher learning functioning. For instance, if you know that when you hear a certain sound, like a door or steps creaking, whatever, and then somebody comes and you feel pain, you're going to be scanning the classroom more for noises and react to that rather than listening to the teacher. So these children can get labeled as behavior problems, as attention deficit, oppositional defiant, and the cycle just exacerbates. So we at Reach Within have been trying to educate caregivers and teachers to look beyond the behavior, the overt behavior, and look more towards what may be causing that behavior, to understand why these children may be reacting in a certain way. You get into the concept then of infant mental health, which is a term, it's not just infant, it's infant and early childhood mental health, which is a child's capacity to experience and express emotions, foster relationships, and explore the environment and learn. So it's a dynamic process that constantly changes over time in response to the environmental influences and interactions. And this helps structure the infant's physiologic responses. And you can have a child who ends up either learning that the world is safe, it's fun to explore, it's pleasurable, and if something happens, there's somebody behind me to support and scaffold me and protect me, so I can calm down and self-regulate and then go out and explore again, as opposed to a child whose environment is, as we said, either threatening or dangerous or painful, and there's nobody there to help regulate itself until it learns to be self-regulating, and has to constantly fight in that sense to think it can preserve its self-survival. Of course, we as humans are wired to interact, and we're wired to interact in a cooperative way. And when this wiring is not reinforced or encouraged, then we lose that ability to really socially interact in a positive, beneficial way. So that's the concept of infant mental health in that sense, which we want to support. And that gets into the concept again of early relational health, which is, it incorporates infant mental health in that the relationship between the infant and its environment is foundational and fundamental to the trajectory that the child's life may go down. And that, in turn, can be influenced by the role of social determinants of health, which are factors that are not thought of in terms of how we develop and how our physiology is changed, or the trajectory that it takes. And that can include our socioeconomic status, education level, our neighborhood or physical environments, our job performance, social supports, and so on. Those all have an influence on our health. And to go back to the infant part, that's where developmental origins of health and disease come in, where if the child is always in a threatening environment, or even prenatally, if the mother is in a threatening environment, there are certain physiologic changes that occur that can get either transmitted through the placenta into the infant, or the young infant being exposed to excessive stressful situations causes physiologic changes that run beneath the surface, such as increased exposure to glucocorticoids, which we release under times of stress. And the dysregulation under times of stress causes an increase in our hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. And then we start getting changes caused by epigenetics, which are changes to the expression of our genes, which alters the nature and nurture equation, but not the actual genes itself. For example, the wiring in a house. You can have the wiring in a house, but the house looks totally different if the lights are turned on at night or if the lights are not turned on at night. And flipping the switch on or off is like an epigenetic change. It doesn't change the actual wiring, it changes how it's expressed. So stress or positive benevolent experiences changes how certain parts of our DNA are expressed. Either certain pathways are turned off or certain pathways are turned on, and that affects our behavior, present and future. So we have been trying to positively change the trajectory of these children's lives by infusing them with self-regulatory behaviors, positive experiences, and most importantly, educating the caregivers to learn to look beyond the behaviors and try to encourage positive relationships, which is the most important part of healing.
So that was wonderfully explained concepts of Reach Within. So Dr. Honigman, can you tell our viewers, have you seen implications of this concept for individuals, communities, and society at large? And how many people since 2009, how many kids since 2009 has been served by this organization?
Well, we see positive responses over time. Not every response is equal to another child. It does have very cogent correlates to all societies, not just low to middle income developing societies. Society in the United States has started to really understand the effects of early childhood experiences in later outcomes and the economic costs involved in supporting those that have had adverse childhood experiences that have not been recognized or addressed. And this is a worldwide phenomenon. These adversities cause the majority of non-communicable chronic diseases due to the low chronic inflammatory states that they produce in being a major factor in the etiology of obesity, heart disease, lung disease, mental decline, kidney disease, all the things that are costing society billions of dollars per year and costing people shortened lifespans. And if you want to extend the thinking, may even have led to a lot of the susceptibilities to COVID-19 when it initially appeared, due to their immune problems over time that made certain groups more susceptible than other groups. How many children we've helped? It's probably hundreds in Grenada. We've also had conferences in Grenada to help educate the caregivers, bringing down international experts in early childhood development. We've worked with UNICEF in the Eastern Caribbean region, helping present programs for other island nations. And we also were just awarded a 2022 Island Innovations Program Award through Reach Within's response to supporting the children during COVID-19, those children that were living in the residential homes, which I think is a very important recognition factor, because the judges were from island nations all across the world, the UN, the US Department of Health. So it's nice to be recognized that we are making an impact in improving care.
What a wonderful objective and mission of this Reach Within organization. Thank you, Dr. Honigman, for leading this organization. So when we talk about this humanitarian NGO kind of efforts, we need some funding. So where do you get funding from, and how people can get involved, even as a volunteer, or give some donations to Reach Within?
Well, the easiest way would be to go to our website, www.reachwithin.org. We also do a fundraising through participation in the New York City Marathon as a charity, where we can sponsor runners who agree to raise a certain amount of funding. So if there are marathon runners who want to help a good cause, who want entry into the marathon, there's also a page on our Reach Within website, www.reachwithin.org, where they can fill out an application to be a Reach Within marathon runner. And down in Grenada, we have certain events where we try to raise money as well.
Do you serve any kids in the United States?
No. We are basically based, our home base is the US, and we have on island staff who are there throughout the year, and we periodically go down to see how things are running, to meet with private and public sector agencies, and to make sure things are running smoothly. But it's basically in Grenada. We were initially called Reach Grenada, but we started getting inquiries from other Caribbean nations. So to avoid any political issues or problems, we changed the name from Reach Grenada to Reach Within, which also is part of our concept that the way to heal is through within, because we recognize that the mind and body are intimately connected, and you can't heal one part without healing the other part from within. So we became Reach Within.
So one can donate via check, via credit card, cash donations, anything in the US is possible.
Around the world.
Great. So neglect and abuse can change a child's brain. High impact, low cost intervention can help in successful outcome. What are your last departing words and message for our viewers for Reach Within?
I think helping a child helps everybody. It helps the world. It helps become a better society. It also helps redirect needed funds towards more social supports, because over time you will have more people giving to society than receiving from society. And it's no child is born bad. It's no child deserves abuse, maltreatment. And if it unfortunately happens, then they deserve all the supports and understanding and kindness and love to help them heal.
Thank you so much, Dr. Richard Honigman, for that wonderful description of what you are doing for the kids in the earth, as well as helping reducing the adversity, trauma, adverse childhood experiencing, and toxic stress for the kids. Thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful cause you have supported. We wish you all the best, and we wish your organization can impact many, many kids to bring the positive outcome in the kids' life. Thank you so much for your time and support, and we will stay in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you.